IDF troops are back on the ground in Gaza as Israel expands its operation against Hamas. The Israeli military reports that Hamas was using the ceasefire to plan yet another invasion of Israel.
Prior to ending the ceasefire, Israel's security cabinet held an emergency meeting over signs the terror group was preparing another October 7th style attack. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
For the first time in months, Hamas fired rockets towards Tel Aviv. The 3 rockets caused sirens to wail throughout southern and central Israel, threatening millions. In the meantime, Israeli troops are rolling back into Gaza, retaking areas they once controlled. IDF Sergeant Major Chaim Malespin told CBN's Nair Hamas and other terror groups were using the ceasefire to prepare for another invasion of Israel.
Our intelligence gave a very strong indication that during this regrouping time, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Jabhat al-Nusra, etc., wanted to actually do another invasion. Right now, during the ceasefire, this is what our intelligence sources said, use the little time they had during the ceasefire to do another invasion.
Israeli media reports that prior to Israel renewing the war, the security cabinet met to consider evidence Hamas was preparing a new ground invasion.
What we have seen them do is prepare for a terror attack against our troops in Gaza, but more importantly, against our civilians in the communities outside of Gaza and the Western Negev. What we did is we took a preemptive strike on those terrorists, specifically those commanders, and on terror targets, removing those threats, and basically saying we will not accept this.
The IDF is pleading with civilians to get out of the combat zones.
Yesterday, the Israeli army dropped leaflets asking us to evacuate the area in Beit Hanun.
Israel's defense minister warns that it's going to get worse if the hostages are not freed and Hamas removed from power.
Unless all the Israeli hostages are released and Hamas is expelled from Gaza, Israel will act with forces never before seen. Take the U.S. president's advice, return the hostages and expel Hamas, and other options will be presented to you, including relocating to other places in the world for those who wish. The alternative is utter destruction and devastation.
In Washington, the Trump administration says the new fighting could end right away if Hamas would accept the U.S. proposal to extend the ceasefire begun in January. An administration spokesperson warned the opportunity is still there, but it's closing fast. The State Department says what President Trump wants most is a permanent and real peace between the Israelis and Palestinians.
President Trump is not just wanting a peaceful day or a peaceful week. We have this window of this administration to change the trajectory of what has been decades and decades, coming up on 100 years of carnage that is now unacceptable.
President Trump called on Iran to stop arming the Houthi rebels in Yemen, promising to step up attacks until they are completely annihilated. As to Iran's nuclear program, Trump has reportedly given the regime in Tehran 2 months to negotiate a deal, making sure they don't develop nuclear weapons. The president indicated if this can't be done peacefully, it will have to be done militarily. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, it looks increasingly that war is on the horizon, and a war with Iran is a whole nother level of this conflict. The proxy wars with the Houthis, with Hezbollah, with Hamas have been going on now for a year and a half, and so how long would it take is an open question. My prayer is that there could be a transition of power in Iran. The Iranian people do not like the theocracy that they're under right now. There are lots of complaints that the clerics get all the best. All the money for the country goes into their military, into developing weapons, and into transfers to Hezbollah and Hamas and Houthis and all of this. And none of it goes to help their own people. And they're short on power. They're short on water. They're having a lot of internal problems. We saw the Green Revolution years ago, and in that, the government ordered snipers to kill protesters. The famous story of a 16-year-old girl just trying to send a message to her father who was protesting, and she's shot to death in that crowd. Recently, taking anyone who is a political opponent convicting them of treason, and then hanging them publicly from cranes in the center of the cities. You look at this kind of activity, and can the Iranian people, can they truly be free again? And can we see that happen? My prayer is that would happen, and happen quickly, and war would be averted.
Are miracles real? Let's investigate.
A lot of skeptics will say, well, miracles are impossible. Why? Because they violate the laws of nature. You can't violate the laws of nature.
I looked at my hand that was clutched. I said, hand move.
We got to 21-25.
He's dead. It's over. I said, shock him one more time.